Just before we get into the topic of this video, I'm just gonna do a little disclaimer here. This video talks about rumors and speculations, and none of this has really been confirmed in any sort of way, I feel like. So take everything with a grain of salt and be ready to, make your own opinion on these things. Because I do actually think this is a topic where it's important for a person to kind of like figure out what they want to find or take from this situation, I guess. So just keep that in mind when you're watching the video, and let's get into it. I just ate a bunch of candy before starting this video, so I feel like my throat is just kind of blocked. It's never a good idea when you're filming a video. But hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're discussing the Polish national final, or one act of the Polish national final in particular, because this weekend we had another Eurovision Super Saturday. We had a bunch of countries picking out their entries for this year's Eurovision. But there is one song in the Polish national final, and kind of like the story that's kind of emerged after her performance, that I want to talk about today, because I think it's a very weird story, and I feel like, I don't know if this is necessarily going to turn into anything broader, but I thought it was an interesting topic, and I wanted to talk about it, because I saw a few people mentioning it on Reddit, but I don't know if everyone has really seen this, and I do want to share a little bit of light on it. So among the participants in this year's Polish national final was Lidia Kopania, who has previously represented the country. That was back in 2009 in Moscow, but she sang the song Why Does It Hurt, written by the Swedish songwriters Ylva and Linda Persson. And let me just play you a little clip. It's not going to be the longest clip in the world, because I know TVP is going to come after me if I play too much of it, but I'll play a little bit of a clip, and you'll kind of see what's going on, okay? That certainly didn't sound too great, and that was kind of the whole thing with this performance. It sounded like she was making everything up as she went along. She didn't have a smile on her face. She looked very uncomfortable. The whole performance in general, just watching, is very uncomfortable, because it very much feels like she doesn't want to be there. It feels like she's almost being held hostage, and she has to sing this song before she can be let go. And that's a weird situation to have in any national final. And for that to just kind of like happen, she didn't sing a second time. This was her performance. This was it, right? That was a very strange situation. But then it turns out that apparently, or at least the speculation is that there was something more to this story. Because Ylva and Linda then went on to Facebook and said this. Tonight was a sad moment for us as songwriters in the final of Eurovision Poland and the quality of Lydia's live performance. Unfortunately, what she sang was not all the melody or lyrics that we had written, and it was intentionally done by her as a setup. And you can definitely tell if you go in and listen to the studio version of this song. It's actually a quite nice song, I want to say. I quite enjoy it. But if you go and listen to the studio version, it's very clear that this song does actually have lyrics. It does actually have proper lyrics and a proper production. And she sounds great. And even if you go and watch her performance in Eurovision in 2009, granted, it's been a few years, yes, but she definitely sounds great, and there's no doubt that this is a professional singer. But the story that has then emerged afterwards, or at least the story that Ylva and Linda is telling that Lydia has told them, is that apparently it's become very clear to the performers in this national final that the song River, that eventually went on to win the national final, was set up as the winner from the beginning. Like, basically that the broadcast, and this isn't necessarily something new, we've seen this in countries before, but that basically the broadcast have set it up so that this song wins no matter what happens. No matter what happens on the televote, this will be the winner. So to make a statement, Lydia decided to sing the song as bad as possible, because then at least people remembered it. Some of this is taken from what Ylva and Linda has said, but some of it is also taken from an interview that someone has then translated into English. So apologies if everything that I'm saying isn't 100% correct, but that's at least the gist I gave of it. She wanted to make a statement. She wanted this to be remembered, and she wanted for this bad performance to be something that people would talk about. So I guess what she was hoping for is that then eventually it'll come to light what was actually going on in the national national final. At least that's how I imagine she's thinking. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that being the best possible thing to do, because I feel like I don't necessarily think that that statement has actually come through. There are a few people who have been listening to these interviews that she's done and also seen what Ylva and Linda is saying. But I feel like that's such a minority of the people who have actually watched this national final, and especially in like the general Polish public who doesn't watch fan interviews, who doesn't necessarily watch interviews with all the participants. This just looks like someone who forgot the lyrics or who didn't want to be there, really. It just looks like a lazy performance. And there are so many other things she could have done. She could have pulled out last minute. And then again, we don't know if that was just not a possibility. But I mean, like, you could have just not showed up on stage. What were the Polish broadcasts? What was TVP going to do if she just didn't show up in the TV studio or whatever it was that the final was being held in? I totally get why you don't want to perform your best and you don't want to like give it your all in a contest. If you already know that you aren't going to win and you already know that it's been set up for someone else to win, I would be very angry too, that's for sure. But I think what I would have done was that I would have just pulled myself out of the competition. And then I would have gone on to maybe post on my social media about what I think is going on. Because the thing is, if you were announced as an act and you just don't show up, people are going to look for your name. People are going to look and try to find the story and figure out what was going on there. And they will actually look at your statement. Where here, I feel like most of the people watching it will have just discarded it as, well, this was a very unprofessional performance. Shame on her. And just walked away from it, not knowing the story. And I mean, we also don't know if this story is 100% true. I'm not going to go into that because I don't know anything about it. And frankly, I don't think any of us really know anything about it. I might do a follow-up to this video if something actually does come out in terms of what was actually happening. But at the same time, I feel like there's probably not going to really be anything that's going to happen because River was such a fan favorite going into this contest. And I do think it was the favorite of the public. So I don't think people are really going to investigate it for fraud. If the favorite of the public doesn't win, the public will riot and they will request to see like the full results. And the TV stations will have to do it to protect their brand, I suppose. But in this situation, I haven't really seen anyone complain about the winner. In general, I've just seen people being very happy that River was chosen, and people are seeing this as maybe even a potential Eurovision winner. So I do fear that the story, if there is a story, and that it's a very big if here, right? Because I'm talking about something that I know nothing about. This is just like what we've heard, right? But if there is a story in this, I do fear that the story isn't gonna come out anytime soon. Now, I've also seen a lot of people going after Ylva and Linda for posting this. And I just don't think that's okay because people are saying that, you know, putting the artist in the spotlight like this isn't okay, saying that you are not happy with their performance, not happy with what happened. They're saying that's not okay. I wouldn't say I know the girls personally. I did an interview with them a few years ago on ESC Fan TV, and I have been following them for a few years. But they are professional songwriters. They are people who've been in this game for a long time. And if they went out and criticized an artist not having anything to back it up on and just doing it to be evil, right? Just to be nasty, they would probably never take part in another national final. Eurovision means a lot to them, and they've written countless songs to national finals over the years. I believe they have songs in Romania and Malta this year as well. They are people who really love this contest and who are very serious about their craft, and they wouldn't just put their jobs and their reputation on the line just because of this song, if there wasn't a story to it. But I feel like they've been very clear and they've been answering like all the comments that people have been leaving on their Facebook account where they posted this. They've been very good at responding to these comments and explaining that Lidia has told them that this was the case. And I don't see a reason for them to lie about that. I don't really necessarily see a reason for Lidia to lie about it either, right? I feel like she did go on and actually talk to Ylva and Linda about this because it was important for her as well to let them know that she wasn't doing this just to be lazy or just because she didn't want to go on the stage, right? Didn't want to win. She actually did this for a reason. I see that there's a very clear communication between the girls and Lidia. And we also have to remember they have worked together before on other songs, and I imagine they still want to work together in the future, so figuring out what went wrong here in the national final is super important for them to move forward, both for Lidia as an artist, but also for the two girls as songwriters. And it does bring up a point that I want to mention here. This isn't necessarily about this case, but this is just about songwriting in general, right? I totally get why the girls are out there talking about this and mentioning, like it says in their post. We just want to make a point that we as songwriters have not been involved in the artist's decision to do this on purpose and don't want to be associated with it, right? Because it is difficult to be a songwriter in this kind of like music industry that we have at the moment. And they very much want to clear their names of this because they may have figured it out with Lidia, but they may not necessarily agree with what she's doing, and that's completely fine, of course. And I get why they want to let people know that they don't agree with it, because if they go on and say, oh, we support Lidia and what she's doing, they might not have the chance to take part in the national final in Poland again. And in fact, they may have trouble getting songs into other national finals, because if this blew up and became a big thing, that would be what their names would be associated with, right? They would be associated as the ones who helped Lidia try to sabotage the Polish national final or whatever. And these girls, I know because I've talked to them before, work damn hard to make these songs and to send these songs into Eurovision national finals every single year pretty much, because it isn't easy to get into national finals as a new songwriter. It's extremely difficult because songwriters, and I really hate this, but songwriters are very much like pushed back when it comes to not only Eurovision but the music industry in general. There's so much focus on the artists, but a lot of artists don't write their songs themselves, and there's nothing wrong about it, right? Singer-songwriter is a genre, and if you like both singing and writing songs, that's great, but some artists just want to go out there and sing something that someone else, who are way better at writing than them, have written. And that's cool, right? But we need to put more focus on the songwriters. We need to show that they are also an important part of the Eurovision experience, or the music experience in general. I love that Sweden is still doing in Melodifestivalen, before every song is performed, they are showing off the songwriters who have written the song. They are saying them by name. They are acknowledging the songwriters, because not a lot of countries do that. A lot of countries just put up a title card with the song, the artist, and then just in very small text we have the songwriters. And I think that's a shame. Songwriters should get just as much shine as the artists do, but they never do. And I understand why Ylva and Linda then want to go out and say, we have nothing to do with this, right? Because I can also understand why they're just very sad about this, because they've written this song, they put their heart and soul into it, right? And now they cannot take that song and enter it into another national final next year, for example. If Lidia had decided she didn't want to go to the national final and this song hadn't been commercially released, well, then there would have been like nothing stopping them from taking this song, finding a different artist, and sending it next year. But now the version of the song that people will remember is the live performance. They may not go in and actually listen to the studio version and find out that this song is actually an alright song. And that's such a shame for these people who've been putting their heart and soul into the music. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. This became a way longer video than I ever intended it to be. But I thought it was an interesting topic and something interesting to talk about. What do you think about this whole situation? Let me know down in the comments below if you want. And thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more content here from me, and I'll hopefully see you guys very soon.